Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time. Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's top 100 games of all time.
Hey folks, Tom Vasel here. Welcome to another 10 in my top 100 games of all time. Today we're taking a look at numbers 70 through 61. We got a couple new games here and then a couple games that have been on the list for 10 years. Well, let's get started looking at these. First of all, number 70 is Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Now I talk about this game a lot because I am really a big fan of the theme. I love how this game is about putting out fires, and I think that's a great theme. It's a theme that's something that you can aspire towards. It's a great theme to bring out to people. You say, hey, in this game we're putting out a fire, and it's something that gets everybody. It doesn't seem geeky. It makes sense. You want to put out a fire. How many kids want to be a firefighter when they grow up? And this game has a very easy family style game, and then you add a few more rules for the complete game. Very much enjoy it. Then they came out with multiple expansions with different boards and a few things, but none of them changed the basis of the game, which was put out fires, which granted randomly pop up all over the house, but that added to a lot of the fun. I really enjoy this one, and I think it's just such a great family cooperative game. Flashpoint. Number 69 is Risk Legacy. Now, if you listen to the Dice Tower a couple weeks ago, we spoiled Risk Legacy. We talked about everything that's in it, and I was dying to. How many games are there where you have to put a big spoiler thing across the screen? You don't normally have to do that, but Risk Legacy was Risk, which is a game that wouldn't even make my top 1,000. It wouldn't even make my top 2,000. It wouldn't even make my top 3,000, actually, of all the games that I played. I don't really like Risk that much, but they took Risk and they added so many cool things to it. They had sealable packets that you opened when certain things happened. And when you open these, they changed the game. You wrote on the board, which was anathema to people, but has made my copy of Risk Legacy such a unique, interesting thing that nobody else in the world has. I really enjoy just the idea of just customizing a game over of experience, and I now have a copy of Risk Legacy which is totally unique. This concept is so amazing that it has boggled my mind why no one else copied it. The designer of Risk Legacy this year is doing Seafall, which is the same thing but with a better game system, and also he's helping Matt Leacock with Pandemic Legacy. Two games I'm very excited about, and if they're better than Risk Legacy, automatically in my top 100. Who knows? But Risk Legacy set the ground, was totally innovative, very impressed with it. Number 68 has been on my list for 5 years, and it's a great party game. That when I first saw it, I was like, oh, weird artwork. But no, Dixit has not only weird, but as time goes by, you find it becomes endearing. And this weird artwork is the perfect backdrop for this game. In Dixit, you are putting a card face down and saying what's on that card, and everybody else then puts a card down, and you mix them up, and everyone has to guess what the card you said is. But psychologically, so entertaining to look at the different cards that are being played. I put a card down and I say, this card reminds me of Bill. Or, la 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 la. That's my clue. I mean, your clue can be anything. And you want people to guess which card's yours. You just don't want everybody to. This game is strongest on the basis of the artwork. Another expansion for this is coming out 5 years later this year, and I will try to get that one because the more artwork, the better for Dixit. Number 67 is a new game to this list, although it's not a new game this year. It came out, I guess, at the beginning of last year, but I said that when it came out, an expansion I would probably put it in my top 100, and that happened, and that's Among the Stars. I love drafting. I think drafting is a great mechanic. From Fairy Tale to Seven Wonders to Sushi Go, those were all great games where you get to draft. Among the Stars does it, to me, right now, the best, where I take the cards, and when I draft the card, I'm either going to use it for money, or get an ambassador with the ambassador's expansion, or stick it in my space station. As you put these cards down, you're building a space station that looks pretty cool, but also this where you place this stuff matters. So it's not just drafting, it's then after you draft it, where are you going to put it? And this just really works well. The space theme here, I like it quite a bit. The artwork is gorgeous. The expansion, they're coming out with another expansion this year, but that being said, as it is right now, very much an enjoyable game, Among the Stars. Number 66 joined my list last year, but still think this game is a blast, and that's Space Cadets Dice Duel. In Space Cadets Dice Duel, you have two teams that are going up against each other. Each team is driving their own spaceship, and you are rolling dice as fast as you can. It's a furious, fast, team versus team game. And it sounds silly, and it is kind of silly, but it's also really fun. Because one person's rolling this dice, and they're giving dice, they're moving the ship, another person's trying to get shots, another person's putting the shields together. Very entertaining, especially when you play with the full complement of people. And now there's a version out, there's an expansion, TIE Fighter, which may be played by the time this video is posted by me, but I'm excited that it adds in another little fighter that someone else is flying around. Great game, the best ones that the Engelsteins have designed yet. Solid, and if you want frantic, shouting, hilarious team versus team combat, Space Cadets Dice Duel, very much recommend it. Number 65 is another brand new game to the list, but as soon as I played this game, I was in love with it, and that's Chaos Ball. Now, for years, I've looked at Blood Bowl, I looked at the rule book, I looked at the miniatures. I didn't want to paint these miniatures and put them all together. I heard that it was a good game. I liked the idea of football where you beat up the other people. Then Chaos Ball came out, and it was so good, it was exactly what I wanted. Not only did it have the card versus card combat, where you each play a card and add that to the strength of your person, which is just phenomenal, but it also had teams that were very different, and fantasy teams, and so you had your ogres against the vampires, and each team was very different, and they released, I think there's like 17 different teams out there for this game right now. The models are fantastic. The game itself is a very solid game. I love it. Instant collection keeper. It can be played one-on-one, which works really well. It can be played every man for himself, which is very chaotic, and sometimes I'm in the mood for that, or team versus team, which is also very entertaining. Certainly check this one out from Cool Mini or Not. Fantastic. And yet another game of mine that I love, designed by Eric Lang. Number 64 has been on the list for 10 years, and that's Battle Line. Battle Line is a Reiner Knizia game, and it's simply you're just placing cards at locations. You're putting 3 cards at each location, and you want your 3 cards to be better than your opponent's 3 cards. But you only can put 1 card out at a time. So I put a 10 at a location, and you're sitting there saying, is he going to put 3 10s? Because that's pretty strong. That's one of the strongest things that can be put out. Or is he going to put a 10, 9, 8 of the same color? Or is he going to put a 10, 9, 8 of different colors? And you're trying not to tip your hand too much as you put these cards out, but at the same time, you got to play cards, and you want to win. And there are certain points, and this is my favorite thing about the game, where you can say, yeah, I win this automatically, because it is impossible for you to win. You have 2 6s out there. The other 4 6s have already been played. So, and I have a 9, 8, 7. You can't beat that. I win that one. And you have to win 3 locations next to each other, or 5 total. This is a classic game. Theme doesn't really mean a lot in the game. In fact, they changed the theme. It was originally about some Scottish people fighting over stones. Now it's about ancient armies. Who cares? But it's a fascinating little game. One you should check out, Battle Line. Number 63 is my heavy train game of choice. Not Age of Steam, but Rolling Freight. Rolling Freight uses dice. When you're like, oh, dice. And dice makes you think a game is light, but it's not. In Rolling Freight, you roll dice, and then you use whatever colors come up on the dice to take different actions. And as the game progresses, you can get other different dice. You have technology. I love technology. That's one of my favorite things in games, where you can increase how you play and change some of the rules. You can sometimes use the die to save different colors to use later on. But you have to build track and then deliver goods. And it's, you know, typical train type game, but it works great in this one, and has a great system where different tracks become available for purchase at different times, and you are battling over moving these different goods around. It's exactly what I wanted Age of Steam to be, and I liked Age of Steam. When I played this, I was like, why did I ever play the Steam things? This just worked so much better. They just came out with a new map this year, which is a great map for the system, so that is Rolling Freight. Number 62 is a game that I like because, as you've noticed, I like dice. Kingsburg showed me how to use dice in a different fashion, where you rolled the dice and then you took the numbers that you rolled and placed them on a board. Now, interestingly enough, King Sports came out this year, which was the same style of game, very similar, with a horror theme, and I debated over which one to keep, and it was tough because they were so similar. And I finally settled on Kingsburg. And the reason for that is that Kingsburg has an amazingly good expansion that allows you to, you're rolling dice, placing them, getting goods, using those goods to build buildings. Those buildings give you special powers. Oh, it just fits together so well. But the expansion gives you more buildings and different options. Really enjoyable. Also, it's very easy to get to the table. Kingsport is also a great game, but Kingsburg just really hit the spot for me. And then my last game today, and the sun is out now, huh? My last game for today has also been on my list for 10 years, and it is, in my opinion, the best game Klaus Teuber designed, and that is Domain. Now, most people know him for designing Settlers of Catan, but Domain is a game in which you are expanding land. In fact, I just did a review of this a couple months ago, but you have this land and you have these kingdoms and you're slowly expanding them and cutting into other people's kingdoms. And it has a great central mechanism where you can either play a card and pay the money to play that card, or sell a card. And when you sell a card, other people have a chance to pick that card up and use that on a future turn. It works really well back and forth. The bits are beautiful considering how old the game is at this point, but it's solid and it works so well with 4, 3, and 2 as there's this constant back and forth warring as the kingdoms kind of encroach. You're building little fences around your kingdoms, little walls around your kingdoms, and then trying to spread into the other person's. So just a fantastic game, one that I highly recommend checking out. So that's my number 61, Domain. Well, we're almost halfway. I got 10 more coming out next week. Don't forget to check out Dan King's Top 100 of All Time. He's posting them at the same time that I am. And I think in 2 weeks, we will start doing the People's Choice Top 100 of All Time. Check that out then. Anyway, folks, it's been good talking to you. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Tom Vasel's Top 100 Games of All Time. Some say that Tom is like a giant among men. Others say he's a little obsessed.
I don't even have a top 10.
Tom Vasel's Top 100 Games of All Time.